So we are Friday, May 9th, Wisdom Friday, cosmic guidance for women on a sacred mission. And you may have heard about this through an email. You may have heard about this because you're in the Facebook group, Wise Women on a Sacred Mission. If you're not in there, I do encourage you to get in there. And I'm going to be dropping more resources in there as we go along this journey. So this is a space that is dedicated to opening up and exploring the energies of the Venus cycle and how we can work with that, play with that as a heroine's journey. Although it's not all light and fun and roses and kisses and chocolate, which is the realm that Venus is often put into, this romantic realm. That is all lovely. And I hope you're getting some of that in your life if you want that. I have found that when we look at Venus, not just as the singular one dimensional energy, of that beautiful woman who is wanting to engage in the romantic through a partner, through sexuality, through sensuality. When we expand what Venus is and what Venus can give us, we find that she actually brings us right into our sacred purpose. She brings us right into our power as women, and not just the power in the bedroom, not just the power as a lover, but our power as agents of change on this planet at a time when we are going through an epic transformation, a change of ages. No one before that we've ever known has lived through what we're living through now. None of our ancestors. Got an interesting little tendril here. Oh, there we go. Cat hair. So I love sharing my 12 years of what I've discovered syncing with Venus. And the invitation is always for you to have your own experience of syncing with Venus, to find some tools and to get oriented so that you can go on a journey consciously with the Venus cycle and have these energies support you in what you're creating. And so the first step of that is really understanding your Venus sign. That's the first step. And it's a very simple thing. And I've set it up to make it quite accessible for you to, if you don't even know your chart, if you've never engaged with astrology, you can go in that link and you can plug it in and you can get yourself a chart. And you can look for the Venus sign, which is that circle and the cross below it. Circle of spirit with matter, the cross of matter beneath. Because we're bringing spirit down into the body, we are embodying our soul energies. And so we've all seen this sign. It's the woman sign. We've seen it our whole life. So it's pretty easy to find in the chart. And then you can look at the little glyph next to it, and that shows you what sign Venus is in. And if you don't know that, I have a little decoder in there to say, this is this, this is this, this is this, this is this. So knowing your Venus sign is going to put you in touch with these qualities that you have. You're going to know them. I mean, it's not going to be a surprise to you, but those qualities are to be cultivated to get more in touch with your Venus. So I like to really bring this into our embodied experience and not just have it be an abstraction and not just have it be a concept. So when I created this guide, welcome Lacey, someone else popped into, welcome anyone who's popping in. So I created this guide, Secrets of Your Venus Sign. And what that is going to help you to do is have some framework of what this is all about. So there's a bit of intro. But mostly the reason I created that is because we tend to look at things in this way where it's like, okay, I have Venus in whatever sign. And so I'm learning about that in isolation. And that's what I'm trying to say here is that we're not looking at Venus energy in isolation. We're not looking at your sign in isolation. We're looking at it as a journey. We're looking at it as a movement. We're looking at it as a spiral that repeats time after time after time, inviting us into a journey of transformation. Every 8 years, Venus and the sun meet in the same sign, and there's a seed from that illumination of the sun, the energy that feeds all life, and Venus, our heart, the way we give and receive love, the way that we connect. They come together, and those two energies are so positive when Venus is in the heart of the sun. They're so positive, and they open up this heroine's journey. And they ask us, do you want to learn more about this energy? Whether or not that's your personal Venus cycle or not, we can learn from every single Venus cycle. We can learn from every single Venus sign. We have an invitation as Venus moves in the sky to engage with more of those qualities that she's representing. So we're always working on two levels. We're always working on the personal level. What is my personal Venus design? Where was Venus when I was born? What sign? You have this imprint, this moment that is coded your life at the deepest level, from your soul purpose to your challenges, to your blessings, to your gifts, to your North Star. And I would say that the Venus design is a magnificent and crucial part of yourself to know and to have an intimate connection with, to awaken to your potential and live your purpose. Because it really shows us, some people call it higher self or your goddess self. I don't use that terminology, but that's the energetic of it. It's something more exalted than you. It's something bigger than you. It's the place where your spirit soars within you. And so that is something to meditate upon, both of them. The sign is more you as a human woman, the messiness of that, the inspiration of that, and the challenges of that. And then whatever cycle you were born into is always going to point back to that moment where Venus and the sun met in that golden seed of possibility. And that energetic, it's like a mother energy. It's like a cosmic mother energy that is part of that heartbeat of Venus and the sun coming together every 8 years closest to the earth. Every 4 years, furthest away from the earth in the same sign. So there's this heartbeat. I'm going to show you some pictures of that. So today I'm going to teach you how to find what cycle you were born into. I'm going to teach you how to find the Venus star, but you want to be rooted in your Venus sign first. You don't want to go, I mean, you can do whatever you want, of course, but that when I guide women through a process intimately, when I work with them in a session, we go through each of her Venus design and help her locate that within her own being, and help her to understand how cultivating those qualities are going to open up her relationships, open up her ability to create abundance, open up, Venus is money, open up resources, open up opportunities, open up collaborations. We always start with that more human level. Beautiful Venus in Taurus is a very strong Venusian sign because Venus rules Taurus. So wonderful that sensual earth energy is going to be really important for you in cultivating your own feminine nature. And we all have different versions of it. That's what's so exciting. And it really takes off that age-old competition that women have had with each other. This dominator society pits us against each other. It puts one image out and says, this is beautiful, right? That gets shoved in our faces. And then if you're not that, then, you're not in the club, or you're spending all this money trying to get that. That's how this culture has pitted us against each other. And so what's so beautiful about this is that it honors all of the different expressions of the feminine. There's 12 different Venus signs. There's always 5 Venus stars active, and then there's 4 phases within a full 19-month Venus cycle. So when you put those together, you have a very unique imprint. Every single one of you has a different Venus design that shows you this quality of, who am I as a human woman? Who am I in my higher self, my sacred feminine self? And what phase, how do I move with Venus? Am I a bright morning star, bold and young in my experience and needing to go explore? Am I an underworld Venus that knows the depths and knows how to transmute energies through love? Am I an evening star Venus that has been through the initiation and is now rising again and learning how to relate to others from a more authentic place, learning to bring more of who we are, and noticing how we're received by others? This is a place in the evening star where we're really tuning in, being of service. Or we are reset Venus that's between one cycle and the next cycle, and we're a bridge maker. So I have a whole exploration of this, of the different phases, but you can see that we all have these different ways, and you'll see yourself in them. They're all mirrors for you. That sign is also a mirror, right? The circle and the cross. It's like you can hold up the mirror. And so on the heroine's journey, the question is, how much do you want to see yourself? How willing are you to see yourself? Because that's what awakening is. Being willing to see ourselves more clearly, being more honest about who we are and what we do, not just what we feel proud about what we do, but the way that we've made moves in order to survive, in order to get what we want that may not be the best qualities. So it just shows us right in our face, these are your best qualities to cultivate, to know your Venus inside of you. So with all that said, I'm going to play you a song because right now Venus is in Aries and we have this beautiful opportunity to start at the beginning, because in this Venus cycle, we're starting at the beginning of the zodiac. And the reason I wrote that guidebook was so you could see all the Venuses from Aries all the way through Pisces, and you could see where yours fell in the journey. So again, you have that movement. It's not just, oh, your Venus is this, full stop. So for Lacey, her Venus is in Taurus. Really important to know that the first sign is Aries, the second sign is Taurus. Aries is that spark of the divine that's coming into life. Aries is birth energy. It's the first sign. And then Taurus takes that spark into her horns of that mother cow energy. We tend to think of it as a bull, but she's definitely feminine. So that cow energy catches the spark and then she grounds it into the senses, into the sensual. She creates something with it. She nourishes something with it. She embodies it, right? So that's very different than just saying, oh, you have your Venus in Taurus and that is sensuous earth. There's a movement there, taking the spark of inspiration, of spirit, embodying it. And then next comes Gemini, and then passing it off to the next sign, which is air, which is then we're getting into an understanding of here's me, this embodied being, and I'm in this world. What's out there? What are the names for these things? What are the songs I want to sing? How do I engage my voice and my communication? So you can see this all the way through the journey and all the way through the guidebook. And I am a big fan of reading things more than once, reflecting, going back and contemplating. We tend to be like, all right, next, all right, next. But to really go back into material that's juicy in order to contemplate it, and we'll receive oftentimes more meaning. So it's a contemplative practice as well. And then Carmen has her Venus in Libra. So we have two women here on this call who have very strong Venus, just from the fact that their Venus is in the sign that Venus rules. So whereas Venus in Taurus, you could say a parallel with that morning star Venus, right? She's very self-centered, not in a negative way, but she's in her body. She's in her senses. It's like, let me feel it. Let me feel it in my body. Let me slow down and feel myself. And very rooted in her timing. If you've ever tried to rush someone who has strong Taurus, you'll see that that's not going to go well. She's very rooted in her own timing, right? So that's more this morning star, sacred self-centeredness, knowing oneself kind of energy with Venus and Taurus. Venus in Libra is more in that evening star energy of showing up and understanding other, being like, whoa, I have this whole universe within me of experiences and sensations and feelings and thoughts, and so do you. And I'm understanding that now. So there's that attunement, there's that balancing self and other. There's that mind that gets engaged in understanding another. Oh, that's your story. That's your story. That makes sense that you do this, right? So that's the Venus and Libra manifestation. So that's perfect. We have two of you in here representing. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so we're going to open up the spirit of Venus and Aries. This is part of a playlist that is Heroine's Journey of Venus through the signs. So it accompanies the guidebook, and I'll drop the link in the group for sure. So be in there if you want to get that and get it on Spotify, and then you can listen to the whole journey that way.
and now my whole life long. I'm the roots and the way the river waters run. Hello butterfly, hello butterfly. I am the mountain, I am the rainstorm, I am the ocean, I am the way home. I am the mountain, I am the rainstorm, I am the ocean, I am the way home. I am the mountain. Ooh, give me a little bit space to breathe. Ooh, give me a little bit time to see. Ooh, just a little bit time to be all that I dream, all that I dream. Ooh, give me a little bit space to breathe. Ooh, give me a little bit time to see. Ooh, just a little bit time to be all that I dream, all that I dream. Ooh, give me a little bit space to breathe. Ooh, give me a little bit time to see. Ooh, just a little bit time to be all that I way home, all that I dream. Ooh, give me a little bit space to breathe. Ooh, give me a little bit time to see. Ooh, just a little bit time to be all that I dream, all that I dream. Ooh, give me a little bit space to breathe. Ooh, give me a little bit time to see. Ooh, just a little bit time to be all that I dream, all that I dream. Ooh, give me a little bit space to breathe. Ooh, give me a little bit time to see. Ooh, just a little bit time to be all that I dream, all that I dream.
All right, Venus and Aries, can you feel her? Okay, so if you didn't shake, everybody do a little shaky, shaky, shake, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Shake out your legs, shake out your arms. If you want to stand up, you can, but see how it changes everything when you bring your body in? So let's just take a moment after that, and I want you to check in and see how you feel from the song, from whatever you did to nourish your body. Oh, good. I think Carmen's lighting a candle for us. That's what. Yay! Thank you. I haven't found my candles yet in my move, so thank you for representing the flame of Aries. We need that. And if you feel inspired, take a hand and put it on your heart, and the other hand on your belly, if that feels good to you. And you're just going to tune in. So if you want to close your eyes, you can, or just soften your gaze, soften your heart. And as you're breathing, you can just breathe right into your heart, letting that be so easy and so natural that your heart actually starts breathing you. And you can feel the pulse of your womb below your heart supporting with that creative potency. But your focus is on your heart. Slowing down, deepening in, soft forehead, soft eyeballs, soft tongue, soft jaw. And let your jaw open just a little so you're not in lockjaw. If you want to say ah, 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 it's a beautiful way to open. Open to this moment, open to yourself. Soft throat, soft shoulders, with this flame growing in your heart with each breath. Soft belly, soft perineum. The pelvis is very connected to the jaw. So allowing both to be soft, letting your hips be soft, your knees be soft, the bottoms of your feet be soft, and feeling the fire in your heart more. What does that look like? Can you imagine a flame there dancing? Orange and blue and translucent. How does that feel? How open can you be to receive how that feels? Feeling and receiving whatever's right here for you. And taking a moment to get curious and ask your heart's guidance, that place where we connect to source within our own body. Just asking, is there anything for me to know right now? Is there any message in that blossoming flame dancing there, warming you from the inside, melting your resistances, and receive whatever's true, whatever you're experiencing is perfect for you right now. There's no right way. You are the way. And as you're ready, if you want to give some appreciation for whatever you receive, just the experience of tuning into your body, and then gently and slowly begin to come out of that. You want to do a little spiral. I like to do spiraling out, just that different kind of motion. And then as you're ready, you can take your hand off and just keep your heart soft as we go through this time together and your mind open. I don't know if you heard that meditation that I put in the group by Richard Rudd of the Gene Keys. It's so brilliant. It's so lovely. So soft heart, open mind. So something that happens for me because I've been syncing with Venus for so long is that the energy of the moment in the cycle, the sign and just the signature, the texture, it just comes through in all these resources, songs, meditations, people, voices. And so I just like to represent that. I don't become it, but I represent it. So right now I'm posting a lot of fierce voices on my Facebook page because like, oh yeah, that's Venus and Aries vibes right there. Just like, like giving no fucks about what anyone thinks, just like truth. But but there's a frequency in the truth, even if it's fierce, that it feels like there's a kindness, because sometimes kindness needs to be protected, and that's more that fiery fierce energy. So it's not like bitchy mean energy, although sometimes there's a line there. It can be edgy, like this feels, is this mean, or is this cutting away something that's false and revealing something that's truer and deeper? And sometimes that is a kindness, and that is the medicine of Aries, of that first sign. So in this time that we have Venus in Aries, wherever your Venus is, you have an opportunity to open to the energies of Aries and to allow those to work you in your life, to allow those to bless you would be a better word. I like to say that wherever Venus is in the sky is a blessing to be received if we're available for it. So are you choosing to be available? That's the heroine's journey. You're choosing to be available. And we have Venus in Aries until May 29th. So we have this beautiful take one and take two of Venus and Aries, because in the cycle, she's so close to the beginning of Aries. She started the cycle at 2 degrees of Aries, that she's retrograde backing into Pisces, the last sign, and then back into the first sign. So back into the cosmic energy of the womb of the universe, the mystery, the dissolution of identity into the oneness. What happens when we die, basically? The deconstruction of the self, the ego. That is all Pisces medicine. Into Aries again. I'm here. That's a lot of the lyrics of that song is I'm here. I'm this. I'm all of this. I'm alive. And so you're getting an opportunity to really show up more boldly in the beauty of who you are. And when you get a little more adept at your chart and printing that out, if you can print that out and you can begin to learn, like, well, where do I have Aries in my chart? Because we all have every sign in our chart. That area, that house is activated for you. not just when Venus is in Aries until May 29th. No, 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 no. That's the golden seed of potential that's inviting us to learn about that higher level of Venus and Aries. And that rolls all the way through October of 2026. So we're looking at a longer influence here. It's not just a fleeting every 4 weeks Venus is moving. There's definitely a lot of wisdom there. We're looking at the whole cycle. You are in a Venus and Aries cycle. And the last time that we were in a Venus and Aries cycle was March 25th, 2017. So this is part of the heartbeat. And the same part of your chart will be activated every 8 years. Okay, so we have the spirit of Aries in the house. You have your own spirit that just got activated through your own dive within. And I do have some slides to share with you to illuminate more of what I'm speaking to today. And so I'm going to share screen here. So this image was the final image in the Venus and Leo calendar, because that was our last cycle that we had with Venus and Leo, which is fixed fire. And now we're in Venus and Aries initiating fire. So we've got a double fire situation here. And so I had a beautiful collaboration with Shannon Stevens out of New Zealand, and she did all this gorgeous collage art. So that's why the lions are there, because in that calendar, this was the introduction to the Venus and Aries energy, which came up at the end of the Leo cycle. So this woman, I tried to actually put some gray streaks in her hair. I wanted to move her forward on her timeline a little bit so that, she would be more in her mid 40s, coming into her 50s. She's got this stance, she's got this power, she's got this confidence that is very much the spirit of Aries. And so you can feel that. You can see there's an image that represents the energy as well. Can you feel that from just seeing this representation? Can you feel that Aries spirit? And, her garb looks a little bit like she could be doing some battle, possibly. There's a little bit warrior vibe. And so, with the energy of Aries, with Venus embodying that, there is always going to be that kindness there and that care. So, she might be protecting life. She might be doing battle to protect life. And then the image that I came up with for this cycle is the return to innocence. And I felt this rising of that phoenix, the birth of so much new. We're ending ages, we're starting a new age. There is so much that is being destroyed in the system that we were raised in. There's so much that's changing so fast. And so, how do we return to innocence and cultivate innocence and rise to be all that we're meant to be at this time? Because that innocence is this quality that when we have wisdom with that, we really become those pure-hearted ones that can bring forth the new paradigm in a way that serves all. So our own innocence feels like it's a big part of this cycle. Here's another image, another invitation to just receive that and see how it ripples in your system. Are you feeling the call? It's not an easy thing to do the heroine's journey, because we are going to the underworld always. When we begin, we're going to the depths. And so that first part of the cycle is like a preparation. It's a really rooting into the energy. It's a claiming that we're going on the journey. And then we start to descend, which will happen in June. So right now we're steeping in it and we're saying yes to the call, which means, yes, I'm willing to look at myself. It's an inner journey. Heroine energy is feminine energy. Feminine energy is our inner world. The hero's journey is an external journey. That's external energy out. But we don't have to leave. We don't have to go anywhere to do a heroine's journey. It's happening inside of us. And so we always are considering the sun sign when we look at the Venus cycle, because Venus and the sun are in this dance and the sun is illuminating. So they start in the same sign, but then it's going to change. They're going to be in different signs. So now the sun is in Taurus, and the Taurus horns very much connect with the female uterus. This is an image from a wonderful creator on Instagram called Symbolic Studies. If you want to follow him on Instagram, he breaks down and decodes the astrology in a really interesting way. He had this beautiful post on Taurus, and then it actually shows the x-rays of women and how our uteruses look like these horns. That shows us how the Taurus sun is inspiring us to nourish our wombs, nourish our feminine, go deeper into our body. And so there could be a call to get some body work, receive some touch. But I also happen to connect with an incredible visionary named Diana Batdorf, who started an Ayurvedic school in the town that I moved from in Sebastopol. And we had a consult, and I mentioned this in the last video, and she gave me this recipe. And so I wrote it up for you all because I am so excited by this seaweed douching. I just think it's so brilliant. And so, again, it's perfectly in timing for that Taurus energy of nourishing our wombs. And so I just gave you more specifics than the last time where I just kind of mentioned it when, here's how you do it. Here's the brand I like. Kombu is a super, super easy seaweed to get. And you have the seaweed water that if you've done this for other purposes, maybe you never thought of douching with it, but this is great for soups. I mean, that seaweed water has so many minerals and nutrients in it. And that is what our bodies are so deprived of in this current modern time where agriculture is stripping the soil and we're not getting our minerals. So this is an incredible way to nourish your body with those minerals. And actually, Taurus as a fixed earth sign correlates with the minerals in the earth. Each of the earth signs are connected to different aspects of the earth. And Taurus is connected to the mineral kingdom. So I thought this is so perfect. So you can put it in your soups, but you can also get a douche bucket. I ordered mine on Amazon. I'm happy to share the link with anyone who's interested. And I got a metal one because I don't want the plastic in there. And then make sure that it's room temperature. You don't want it too cold. You don't want it too hot. And you can just go ahead and put that water up inside of you and, 5 minutes. Just let it come around and do some kegels and let it nourish your womb. So brilliant for keeping our balance internally. And one of the things she said that really landed with me so strongly is for those of us that have stopped bleeding, I don't know about anyone else, but I miss that monthly purge of my system. I had a really wonderful relationship with my periods. And so there are advantages of being in menopause for sure. But I love this idea like once a month, I'm going to cleanse with this douche and do it about the same time that I would have bled. So with the new moon, perhaps, or if you had a pattern where you were always bleeding, it's also really helpful with women that are bleeding to do that after you have your menses, just to clear everything out. Not because there's anything wrong with it, but again, you're going to have that nourishment in your womb space and after having sex, because there's so much that gets transmitted in sexual fluids that to be able to have this nourishing, cleansing experience in your womb is really helpful. So that's the more detailed download on the seaweed douche protocol. And I found these images. And I had these for a long time. I was like, I don't know what I'm ever going to do with these images of these clams, but how cool is that? How much they look like a woman's vagina. It's just incredible how nature mirrors us. And so I busted those out and I actually included them in my post on Facebook, and Facebook thought it was porn. So I got banned from the group. I couldn't post for like 2 days or something, which was really funny. No, it's not actually a woman's vagina. And of course, it's so silly because I'm sure there's tons of porn that we could all search right now on Facebook that's not getting banned. So the moment that we're in is quite unjust in these ways, like real women giving birth, beautiful images in nature that look like our vaginas are banned, but then actual, harmful pornography is everywhere. So it's the paradox that we're moving through as the dominator falls away and the new, more caring, connected culture arises through each of us, through our sacred mission, through our embodiment, through our frequency, through our energetic, through taking the heroine's journey and becoming more of who we are, becoming more mature and more willing to say what needs to be said in our world and to represent a paradigm that is getting more and more underrepresented in mainstream culture, even to propose taking care of our bodies in natural ways. A lot of younger people aren't hearing these things from older women, aren't hearing experiences or stories about how we grew up before all the tech came in. And it's just madness. The pharma ads pushing drugs on every channel. And, we didn't have any of that. I consider the Gen X and likely the elder millennials, the last free range generation of humans that grew up before all of that. So our voice, our perspective is really important. And there's those moments. We don't know when they're going to come. We don't have to officially be anything, but there's those moments where a truth wants to come through us. And as we become more comfortable with ourselves and willing to give voice, those moments can be really precious and can actually change someone's life. So here's another beautiful image of that nourishment from the sea. Love that. I do not remember the artist on that one. So this is the map. Hopefully you have this. If you don't have this, get your Venus and Aries map, because then you can look at all of it. You can start to interface with the mechanics of it and open your mind, soften your mind to, don't get too crazy if you don't understand things right away. It's all good. It starts at number 1. It ends at number 12. Well, actually ends again right before number 1. And it's just articulating the moves of this Venus cycle, starting with the reset phase, the morning star phase, the underworld phase, the evening star phase, and back to reset. And most important are these monthly dates where Moon and Venus meet in the sky. I call what I'm doing Venus wisdom because I put Venus as the primary feminine expression. The Moon, the way that I hold that, is more of our conditioned feminine, our stories, our history, our lineages, which are important to bring those stories into the transmutation process, because there's a lot of pain there. There's a lot of abuse there. There's a lot of mistreatment of the feminine there. And then that lives within us. So the Moon is more of that. It's more our patterns. And then Venus is more the evolutionary, the invitation to be on that evolutionary edge, to be on the cutting edge, where we're having a feeling, but we're not bringing a whole story into it. I came across this amazing young woman. Oh my goodness. I don't know how old she is, but she's just so wise. Her name is Hannah. I'll include a link to some of her content because I've just been so impressed with her. But she talks about having these reactions, having these emotional intensities in relationship and not processing it, not needing to go through all the nitty gritty. And it's just a really new paradigm way of being in relationship. She has a book called The Way of Devotion. And to me, all of that stuff is moon stuff. I'm angry because I'm sad because there's all this like putting our experience on another. And of course, we need to know if another is abusing us and withdraw ourselves from those situations. But in a truly equal partnership, there's a lot of room to shed the ways that we feel like we have to sort through all the emotionality in order to get to some resolution, and that never really resolves, right? I remember Chogyam Rinpoche would say that emotional processing is like getting out your kitchen trash and like going through it. And then there was this and that chicken bone and that and that. So all of that feels like moon stuff. And it's not that it's not important. We need to not bypass that and go, oh, I'm not having any feelings. I'm just this beautiful being of light, and, go into some kind of new age bypassing. The story is important. And that's why it's so important to have the moon and Venus together at these portals, because then we can take that story and we can bring it forward into the now moment and dissolve the pieces that feel like, oh, I've been carrying that in my trash bag for decades. It's not necessary to keep bringing that forward. So save the date. 523 is the next portal, and it's the only portal that we will have where Venus and the moon are in Aries in this Aries cycle, because of the retrograde. The first portal, which was pretty much invisible, and then the second portal, April 24th, just not so long ago, we're both in Pisces because of that retrograde. So this is the only one in the morning star phase that is in Aries. We'll get another one in the evening star phase because it's going to repeat. We have the morning star version of Aries and the evening star version of Aries. So highly recommended to get up early, get up before dawn, go out, see that, receive the light in your eyes. It changes you. It pulls you deeper into the journey until it becomes more natural. It reminds you, oh, right, I am on a journey of self-discovery. and it inspires you to the beauty of who you are. It's such a beautiful display in the sky of Venus and the moon. If you signed up for the guide, you should get that map. If you don't have it or can't find it, just let me know and I can get it to you. And I love this picture because it really shows us that movement. So this is Venus, this is not the moon. And a photographer got up and took all the morning star pictures and all the evening star pictures. Not every month. He skipped a few here. You can tell this one's has more. But to see these shapes that she makes, crescents, just like the moon. And then here are the Venus stars. These are the active Venus stars right now. And so that whole map that I just showed you, that 2 degrees of Aries, that's us here. Here we are. So we started in Gemini in 2020. Oh yeah, we did. The revolution began in whole new ways, right? And then we went into Capricorn in early 2022. And then we went into Leo, which just happened, our last cycle. And then we went into Aries, and here we are now. And then our final star will be Scorpio in October of 2026. And then it repeats. So these are always 5-star active, and they stay in a Venus star. I call it Venus star, like that Venus cycle where they meet. So this is a Venus star, this is a Venus star. I use Venus star and Venus cycle pretty interchangeably. And this takes 8 years. And so we have that 5 and that 8. We have that rhythm of 1.6. You know, the cycle is 1.6 years, and the division of 8 and 5, 1.6. We have that code, the Fibonacci series, and we have the golden mean. We have the mathematics of the creation of life woven in here with all of the aspects of her cycle. And you could go deep into that if you want to geek out and you want resources, let me know. Her pattern is mathematically in a creation mode of nature. That's what we see in the spirals. That's what we see in the flowers. We see all of this spiraling activity being a part of that code. So this is what you get to discover. Venus moves through, a Venus star will be active for over 100 years. I think it's 108 years, which is a very cool number, but may not be remembering that totally accurately. You may not have your Venus star in one of these signs because there are some Venus stars in our lifetime that have ended and new ones have begun. I don't know if that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, just allow your mind to maybe just soften with it and just know you have a Venus star that opened up the cycle that you were born into. These are the active ones right now, and yours may not be one of these. Okay, that's something else. Okay, let's take a breath. That was kind of a lot of information. I get excited to understand how it works and weaves together, and I hope you do too. Who is ready to discover how you find your Venus star? Do you want to know yours? Yes. Okay. Some of you probably already know yours. Who here already knows yours? Put yours in the chat if you know your Venus star. Carmen knows her. Okay, what's yours? I'm a Venus and Scorpio clan. I like to call this our clan because what is so interesting about this is you will find women that have this, you know, we're born into the same cycle, that 19-month cycle, and there's just a resonance at a deep level because your deepest heart is coming from the same energetic space. And so the Venus and Scorpio clan, you know, tend to really want to go deep in relationships. Not to say you couldn't want to go deep if you have something else, but you know what I mean? There's like that depth there. And so there's that like, oh yeah, you're one that likes to go deep. And the cool thing is about it too, is that in that 19-month cycle, you'll have peers that have the same Venus star, but then you'll have 8 years before you, 16 years before you that also have it, 8 years after you, younger than you, 16 years younger than you. So you have this cohort of other women who have the same Venus cycle across time and space that gets very interesting. If you want to find it for your friends, your lovers, your collaborators, I'm going to show you this site, and this site is very helpful in understanding the Venus star. Maybe some of you know this. This is the same program that I use for the Discover Your Venus sign. When you go in and you plug in your chart, it's this AstroSeek chart. And so, okay, I have a lot of tabs open. Don't look at those. What you want to do once you get to the site, and I will just share the link because it's actually a little hard to find if you just go into astroseek.com and try to find it. He has a lot going on, so it's a little tricky to find. I think it's under Astro Tools under planetary cycles. So you got to do a few clicks to get there, but this is the straight to finding the Venus star, the Venus cycle. Now mine defaults to 5 Venus cycles or Venus rows. So what I could do is I go in and I change it to 1 Venus cycle. So I'm trying to find someone's, and I set it to the inferior conjunction. The inferior conjunction is closest to the Earth, so that begins the cycle. There will be a secondary Venus star in every cycle. There's 2 every 9.5 months, and the second one is behind the sun. And I consider that a secondary Venus star, but I don't count that as someone's primary. So that's the way that I hold this, a little bit differently than Ariel Gutman and her beautiful work. And it's been very powerful when women find their primary Venus star and contemplate those energies. So you want to set it to the inferior. And then what I'm doing here is I'm showing you how this particular cycle works. So I hit OK so that it will show us the 1 instead of the 5. And you can see it's giving you all of that same information that is on the calendar. When did they meet? They met at March 23rd. Oh, this is well, there's a time zone thing here. So you can change it. This is Greenwich Mean Time. So you can change it to your local time because sometimes it will change the day, right? If it's late in the day or early. So here we have it. She's meeting the sun and it's at 2 degrees of Aries. She has her morning rise on March 26th. That really depends on where you are though, which place. And then you need to get to a spot where you get a view of the horizon. And then it does show you as she moves through the signs as well. So you can match these with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 that I shared in the calendar. I just tried to make that calendar more accessible so you could see the movement. This is more like a list. So is there anyone in the group who wants to be the example, who does not know their Venus star? And you could put your birth date in the chat and I'll look it up for you and teach everyone how to find it on yours. Lacey, June 16th, 1955. Perfect. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go in, I'm going to say 1955, and I'm going to hit OK. And then we can see this is June 22nd, 1956. So that is after Lacey's birthday. So that's not going to be her cycle. So then what you want to do, and that will happen sometimes. So now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put 1954. Now I'm going to hit it again. And now we have November 15th. 1954. We have a Scorpio, Scorpio plan, 22-degree Scorpio was when Venus and the sun met. And we can see that this cycle rolls all the way to June 22nd, 1956. Her birthday is within that 19 months. And so that we can go, well, where was she exactly born? So we're going to go in here to June. So here we go. And is your Venus in Gemini, Lacey? So June 13th, 1955 would put her as a morning star Venus because Venus sets on July 26th. So she is a morning star Venus in Gemini, and she's born into a Venus and Scorpio cycle. That is a very interesting combination, because Venus in Scorpio is the deepest of the deep. It's like, let's go all the way down into the depths. And Gemini is more on the the superficial mental realm and wanting to play and wanting to flirt and not necessarily wanting to get heavy and deep. So she's holding 2 very different energetics there in her design. So fascinating, right? We have all these combos. Yeah, and I just use tropical for this work because it's earth based and we're on the earth and Venus is transmitting to us on the earth. I mean, you can of course play with any models you want, but and also then we're all, at least in this container, we're on the same page. That's also why I use whole sign, tropical, because we're in a we space together. Okay, so that's Lacey's Venus star. All right. Well, What a blessing to have this time with you, tuning in, tapping in to the Venus cycle at this moment. And one thing that I would say, about this time with the sun in Taurus is that cross-quarter holiday of Beltane. We just passed that on the 7th, where the sun was at 15 degrees of Taurus, that ripening, that peaking out of that fertile time of nourishment. And also Mother's Day. This is a time when we do celebrate mothers and we do celebrate their contribution. And so it feels like that's also a part of that fertility of Taurus that births and that connection to the Empress card, which is very much a part of this time that we're in right now, of the land is blossoming and it's warming and the plants are starting to really bloom, and then our own, we can really be nourished at this time. And then we're coming into a full moon. That's what I wanted to say. So we're coming into a full moon on May 12th. And that is a polarization. And that can be a lot of that reactive energy. I was talking about the moon and the stories and the emotional baggage, that can really come out. And just to know that there's also, when we see those dates where Venus and the moon come together, that's going to happen before the new moons when we're in morning star. So it gives us a chance to prepare, to really root into the more evolutionary energies of Venus and be less reactive and be more responsive. And then we have Venus and the moon making their opposite in the sky, just like the sun and the moon make their opposite in the sky at the full moon. So I call that a peak Venus portal. And that happened yesterday. So if you were to rise at dawn, and see Venus rising in the east, you would see the moon setting in the west. The waxing, getting to full moon would be setting in the west. You get to see those two different energetics, which I'm sure you could, if you get up early, you could probably catch it again tomorrow. If you want to understand how these chart dynamics are actually playing out in the sky, what we look at in the chart. So for that opposition that we had with Venus and the moon, it's always going to be the opposite energy. And like I said, it's so helpful to know the story. That's like what sign came before, what sign came after. When we're going on a journey, it's also, you get so much wisdom from understanding the opposite sign. So we're in this Venus and Aries cycle. We're coming up on our first portal with Venus and the moon together later in May. But regardless, we're in this Aries energy of me first. I'm here. I'm bold. I'm bright. I want to see what's over the next horizon. It's that pioneering energy of Aries. It's very much about self. And for those of you that have your Chiron in Aries, roughly ages 47 to 58, you have a huge opportunity for healing around that wound of agency, that wound of impotence, that wound of not being able to claim your full fire, your full rage, your full anger, your fullness in this cycle, and particularly in this moment, with Venus and Aries resonating with that. And at some point in her journey through Aries, she's going to touch upon your Chiron, because your Chiron is there in Aries, that wounded healer archetype, emphasis on the healer, the opportunity to heal through becoming whole, which is the heroine's journey as well. So I feel like Chiron and Venus work really beautifully together. And in that opposition, yesterday the moon was in Libra, and that is the consideration of other, and the learning that happens when we listen and attune and empathize with another. And the moon is still in Libra right now. So we still have that lesson that is, or that invitation, not really a lesson, but that invitation to be noticing where is my energy of self, where is my energy of other, and how are they weaving together. And they're very much a mirror for each other. So if we're going too much into self, we maybe time to open up and empathize with another. If we're going too much into other and going into some codependent tendencies, it might be a time to come back to ourself and really understand, what am I needing? So that will be, the moon will be in that position and really giving us that wisdom until Saturday at 1:12 p.m. Pacific, when it shifts into Scorpio. And then we're going to get our Scorpio full moon. Ah! I think this is like the full moon that the Buddha got enlightened or something, though. So could be a good one. We'll see. He was probably slaying all those patterns and deepest, darkest scorpionic demons, right? Who knows? We have stories. I would encourage you, whether you put it in the chat or you write it in your journal, get your Venus journal. Did you get your Venus journal yet? You want to have that. You want to be having a relationship with this heroine's journey and going out and trying to see her and have an experience of her and having a reflection on yourself. So if you want to work with me more personally, if you want to have my eyes on your chart, if you want to have some time with me, I do one-on-one sessions. We can really drop in and drop into the issues that you're having in bringing forth your boldest self in order to fulfill your mission. And we can go right into the heart of that. If you feel called to get some help in understanding how to work with these energies, and you are a visionary on a sacred mission, and especially with the world falling apart as we speak at the seams, you want to know that you can keep going forward and have that confidence to fulfill that mission. I encourage you to book a call with me and we can explore it. We will go deep into your Venusian design very personally for you. And there's so much that arises in those sessions. They're magic. I don't even know what will happen, but there'll be a lot of illumination of the depths and what's wants to be seen and known. And I feel like for me, that skill, if you could call it a skill, really got cultivated from syncing with Venus. So when you enter on this path, the synchronicities are going to increase, that you're going to connect more dots. Carmen's nodding her head, so she's having that experience. You're going to connect so many dots in the most important realm of relationship with yourself. How quickly can you come back to center in the chaos? How long does it take you to remember to apply self-love when you're spiraling? How can you show up in relationship in a win-win collaborative way that moves both of you powerfully towards a solution? These are all Venus superpowers. All right, my beautiful Venusians, it's so good to be with you, and blessings for abundance, knowledge, and wisdom for all. I love that prayer, Tanya. Thank you so much. And write down your takeaways, nourish your womb if you choose to. I'd love to hear if anyone does a seaweed douches. I'm all about it. I'm going to be starting that tomorrow. You're so welcome, Devin. I'm so blessed to have you here. Devin is an incredible, incredible resource in every direction, body worker, healer, spiritual advisor. And she's really taken the Venus wisdom into her practice, into her ministry. And it's just so incredible to see these seeds of what this powerful heroine journey can do when women take it into their realm and start playing with it. So have a beautiful Mother's Day. Blessings to all you mothers out there and everyone with a mother heart. So much love to you. So glad to be connected, and keep tuning in. We'll be back next Friday.